Hello everyone again. This is the last presentation for today's fair. The elite high schools in the UK, scholarships available, represented by Katarina. So I will give the word to her to tell me more about it. Katarina?
Hi Stephanie, thank you for the introduction and thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. Okay, so let's get started. First, I would just like to briefly introduce you the content of today's presentation. I will try to keep it very short so that you have more time to actually talk to the representatives who are available to you today. But just the whole point and the goal of the presentation is to give you a brief overview of the possibilities of a high school education in the UK and abroad. So very briefly, here you can see the contents that we'll try to go over during the presentation today. Mainly, we will start with the advantages of why one should actually decide to study abroad and what are the necessary preparations that a family or the applicant has to do before actually starting the education abroad, regardless of whether it's the high school education or the university education. Then I will briefly go into the actual educational systems that we have that are taught in English, and I will cover briefly the British curriculum and as well as the international Baccalaureate. I will also briefly talk about the admissions, university admissions, and the key facts one should have in mind when applying to the university, as well as the types of schools and the general costs one should be faced with when doing the high schools abroad. We will also, at the end of the presentation, briefly mention the available financing methods and the scholarships that we have available. I would like to start with advantages of studying abroad and just briefly to give you just kind of an introduction to why one might decide to send their child in a high school abroad. More commonly, we are used to sending young adults at a university program abroad. However, there are many, many benefits of starting education abroad at an earlier age, even in their during their high school years. And the biggest reason why families decide for a step like this is because of the holistic approach that children receive while studying abroad. The main difference between the options that children have when doing their high school program abroad versus perhaps in Croatia or Slovenia is a more focused approach where children are allowed to specialize in the subject areas that they're truly passionate about, in comparison to our general high school education where children study up to 15 or 17 different subjects each year, regardless of their preferences. And they really don't have as much flexibility to tailor the program to their needs. Another big important factor in deciding to start education abroad is the multicultural experience that students receive. They will be studying with their peers from all over the world. Of course, depending on the country where they decide to study, there will be domestic pupils, but there will also be a large international communities where they can experience different cultures and meet friends from all over the world. The teaching facilities and methods abroad, and especially in the UK, which is the country which I will be talking about mostly, has extremely highly ranked quality of education, and the teaching facilities are truly amazing. Students have an option to experience different practical labs, such as a science lab, visual art labs, multimedia, performance, and are just given a huge variety of subjects that they can choose to actually learn from in truly a depth of the curricular. apart from just the educational curriculum that they study, there's a huge emphasis on the extracurricular activities, and every school will try to offer as many different options to their students, and those might range from different sport options to different societies and specialized interest groups, where the students are pushed to their limits to actually pursue their hobbies and interests to a new level. Also, a very important thing for families and parents is international recognition. The diplomas that we're going to discuss today, the A-levels and the international Baccalaureate or the Swiss Matura, Abitur, etc., are all well known and accepted at all universities worldwide, and can lead up and can actually be a great pathway to top universities abroad. The preparatory stage before actually deciding to start high school or studies abroad, usually families opt out for different educational camps, which can range from just simply recreational camps where kids can study language in combination with different recreational activities such as sports or arts and stuff like that, or they can actually do something more focused on their interests, and these educational camps are actually called mixed camps, where they have a combination of language learning in combination with in-depth exploration of their specific interest or hobby, such as arts and drama, journalism, or even a sport academy that they can combine with their language course. There are also even more academic camps, which offer intensive language study of up to 30 or 40 hours of language studies a week, and actually prepare students for the standardized examinations such as the IELTS or Cambridge Advanced Examination, which are all necessary for their progression to university level. Students can also opt to take an academic camp, which will prepare them for their A-levels or IB exams in the future. And finally, there are vocational camps, which actually allow students to experience the career they actually chose, and to experience this career and how actually their study program might look like during their summer break. And examples of these camps are camps specialized in medicine, law, engineering, drama, etc., where students actually usually learn at the universities which offer these programs, and actually prepare students and give them something like a little teaser of what their university studies might be in the future. They also receive a good preparation for the examinations the universities will have in order to apply to the universities, as well as an example of how their student days might look like. There are also just general language courses which students can choose to improve their overall application, as well as academic guidance tests, which help students actually decide on what career or what university would actually best suit their interests and needs. Okay, this is briefly just a few pictures of how these educational camps might look, and the benefits that children and young adults have when attending such educational camps. And of course, there is an academic part of it, which is very important, but also participants truly enjoy also the social part of these camps, where they meet colleagues from all over the world and actually learn while having fun and discovering new cultures. Okay, quickly jumping to the British educational system. Just to start with, there is a little difference in the educational system in UK, which is kind of divided as the how to explain it very simply. Basically, the first half of the high school education is called the Gcsc, while the second and final 2 years of high school education is called actually the sixth form or the A levels. So basically the Gcsc, which you can see in the pink part, in the middle part of the pyramid, actually starts at the age 14 or 15, and those would actually be in, for example, in Croatian system, this would be grade 8 or first grade of high school. So sometimes, depending on the school, actually students should start this program even as early as their 8th grade in the elementary school, for example, here in Croatia. The 2 years that the Gcsc program lasts are actually first half of the high school education in the UK, but do not qualify as a final high school education. If the students wish to progress to university level of their studies, they have to finish the A levels and take an additional 2 years, which would be the equivalent of our grades 3 and 4 in our high school. So also just a brief overview. As I said, we have Gcsc, which is a 2-year program for students who are either finishing elementary school or are just starting their first year of high school. And the standard Gcsc program is 2 years long, and students are usually aged 14 when they started this program. They can choose from 9 to 11 different subjects. There are some mandatory subjects, but the students can choose between many optional subjects. Another option is accelerated Gcsc program or the pre-A level program, which lasts only 1 year and is basically just like a shorter version of the standard Gcsc program. Students who attended this program are usually 15 years old, so they would be in their first grade of high school here in Croatia and Slovenia. And instead of a wide range of subjects, students have to choose 5 to 7 subjects that they can study for. Once the students achieve and finish their Gcsc program, they have to take Gcsc exams, and upon a successful completion of their Gcsc examination, they can progress to A-level program, which is the final 2 years of their high school program. Again, we have a standard A-level program, which is 2 years long, and students choose a minimum of 3 or optionally 4 subjects that they can study in depth. This is quite different from what we have in Croatia and Slovenia, where we have a large number of subjects that students have to study. In the UK, they actually, at this young age, actually choose 3 or 4 subjects that they want to specialize in, and they study these subjects in great depth. The age of a student taking A levels is 16 years old. The subjects are chosen according to students' abilities and university pathway. So the programs that a student chooses on their A-level program will determine what kind of university program can student actually apply to once applying for universities. Similarly, like the Gcsc program, there's an accelerated program for A levels, which is 1 year long program, and again, students can choose between 3 or 4 subjects. The students who actually attended this accelerated A levels program are 17 years old, and again, students choose the programs that they prefer, but also the programs that suit their abilities. Apart from the Gcsc and A levels, which are programs specific to the British educational system and their high school system, there is the international Baccalaureate, which is an IB program and a diploma that is actually recognized worldwide, and we have it all over the world. And it is quite different from the A levels and the Gcsc that I just described. Basically, the international baccalaureate program, students have to choose between 6 different groups of programs. There are mandatory programs which students have to take, such as English and mathematics, and students have to choose one program from each of the groups that are mentioned on the presentation slide above. So, for example, in the group 2, which is broadly called second languages, students have the option to study whatever second language they want, as long as the school actually offers that language as one of the subjects studied at the school. From the group of individual and the society or the humanities, they can choose a broad range of subjects such as geography, history, etc. Sciences, again, anything like chemistry, physics, biology, all fall under the group of sciences. Finally, they have to choose either arts as their final subject or any additional subject from the groups 1 to 5. In addition to the subjects, IB students also take theory of knowledge, creativity, action, service, and extended essay as an addition to their exams. For the progress to the university, students have to make sure what subjects they choose during their high school. As I mentioned earlier, what subjects they actually have during their high school education will greatly influence what universities and what programs they can actually apply to at the university levels. Another key factor are the results at the A levels and IB results, as well as the Gcsc results that they achieved previously. Motivational letter, recommendation letters, and any extracurricular activities such as voluntary work, internships, and similar experiences all build up the portfolio greatly and have great influence on the actual quality of the student. Also, some universities might ask students to prepare a portfolio or to attend a specific exam or even an interview closer to the actual study program. In terms of the high schools that are offered in the UK, there are 2 main distinctions. There are boarding schools and then there are colleges. Boarding schools are more traditional schools, which usually have a church on the campus. Students wear uniform. They have a huge variety of facilities, such as sport facilities, art facilities, etc. And as well, these schools, as they are more traditional, are usually suited better for younger students aging from 3 to 18 years of age. College-type schools are more modern. There is no church, no uniform. There is a much more relaxed atmosphere in the school and at the campus. And these schools are usually more suitable for older and more independent young adults from ages 14 to 16 years. This is just an example of how a typical boarding school looks, very traditional Harry Potter style school, and this is an example of how a college type of school might look like. The costs are usually divided between the tuition fees, and then in addition to tuition fees, there are boarding fees which cover accommodation and meals, and the boarding fees can include home stay, self-arranged stay, or stay within the campus and the facilities that the school actually offers. Some of the supplementary costs are smaller, but they are important, and families should be aware of them. They can include anything from uniforms and books to pocket money, etc. As well, an important factor to have in mind is that any minors studying in UK or Canada need guardians, which also come at an additional cost. In terms of financing the studies, there are numerous scholarships available based on academic merit or sports or performance. So these are very specific to the student applying, as well as the availability and the options the school actually has. Financial aid is also one of the options families might be interested in. Again, subject to high school availability. Private scholarships is when a third party sponsors the education, and there is also a student loan, a more typical arrangement that families might want to look into in order to finance the cost of high schools in the UK. Some of the high schools available to Croatian and Slovenian students that are covered within the schools that Integral is representing are listed here. What's important to note is that usually these scholarships are awarded after the application is sent, and once the school actually reviews the whole application package and does the admission tests with the student and possibly even performs an interview, and then decides if a certain student is actually a good fit for the school, they might decide to award a scholarship. Important to notice is that scholarships are usually available only for tuition fees, while the boarding expenses remain on family expenses to cover. I will not go into detail about this because we don't have enough time, unfortunately. But if anyone has any specific questions about anything else, I'd be more than happy to have questions now, or please come meet me at my booth after the presentation is over, or even better, talk to the representatives of the schools that we have available here now today with us during the fair.
Thank you. Thank you, Katerina, for the great presentation. This was the last presentation for the fair. There is 1 hour and 30 minutes until the end of the fair. So if you have questions, you have enough time to go and ask them directly to our consultations and to the institutions at the fair. So enjoy the rest of the fair, and thank you for all being here with us today. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Okay, so we are not live anymore.
Okay. I'm sorry.